One of the biggest benefits of using QuickBooks Online are their bank feed rules. And in this video, we're going to teach you how to set up different rules and the different functions of it. As we go through really quickly here, you're going to see we start off by creating a name for the rule. Our philosophy is you start off with the two initials of the person creating it, then you use a dot, the account you want it to go to, dot, the vendor name. The next part of this is you're going to have either it's a money in or a money out transaction. This is going to be an important part to make sure you're capturing the information correct. You can also then go through and select which account you want the rule to be for, or it can be for all accounts. Sometimes if you need to really clearly define a rule to a specific bank, this is the way you would change that. The area where we see the most challenges all the time is always on this one here. It's the all or any. This is usually the biggest challenge because if you are trying to do different bits of text that will trigger a rule different ways, if you accidentally set all, you would not have it trigger the rule. And if you do any and it's too generic, it will trigger all too frequently. For example, if we did AT&T, it is possible you could have a bank text where it comes in as AT&T or ATT. If I did it as all here, it wouldn't have both of those and it would fail. But if I did it as any, it could be either one of these that would capture the same way. Generally, bank text is always what you're going to use instead of a description. This is what actually comes through the bank memo itself. You will be able to use the amount, and you can do over amount, under amount, equals to, and we'll show you some of the different rules on how you can play with some of this stuff. You've also got the contains, doesn't contains, and is exactly to choose between all this stuff. Then below, once you've established the rule the way you would like it, you're going to choose between the different types of transactions. Money outs are always going to be either an expense, transfer, or a check. We never personally use the transfer functionality of this. We always prefer to use an expense, and we'll show you in another video how we do transfer tos and transfer froms. The next part is your category. This is your chart of accounts, and you have the ability, you can actually do splits on this as well. Your splits can be done either through a dollar amount or a percentage. This can be handy, especially if you're trying to write off certain expenses from a home office and you know the percentage you're allowed to do. You won't necessarily use splits all the time, and there are some limitations to the number of splits, but it goes pretty far before you'd use that. Hit a trash can to remove a portion of it, of course. The next part is going to be a payee, and this is an important one. Every transaction should always have a payee name. If you don't have a payee, you're not going to be able to use the full functionality of the program for reporting to be able to filter, group by name, so forth. So I strongly recommend everything should always have a name. Tags is a feature where you can add on, instead of just a category, you could do something where you could add on utilities or for project A or project B if you wanted to give an extra layer that's kind of superficial and not part of the specific accounting for unique reports. Then depending on the level of QuickBooks you're using, there's also the options of classes, locations, and of course the memo field at the bottom here. Now this memo field, one of the things you don't want to do is you do not want to auto-populate any kind of a memo on a rule. That would overwrite any of the bank detail that goes in, and you want to make sure you keep that original bank detail. So I usually recommend leaving this clear, and the add this memo to all matching transactions, I would not do this. You can do it if you want to have the memo say something as project A with the description. You could do it that way. I say don't do it. Of course, you're clear. And then the very bottom one here, as tempting as this may be, where it says automatically confirm transactions this rule applies to, auto add, I strongly recommend do not ever use that. When rules are created correctly, it takes a very small amount of time to review them for accuracy. And with the auto add, you will not get the chance to look at it. And if you create a rule wrong, you could truly create a scenario where you're throwing stuff into wrong categories without even knowing it. Hope this helped.